welcome to another modding tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create more efficient legendary meters entirely in a weapon blueprint. First, open gameplay, then open weapons, then open whatever weapon you're working with. For me, it's going to be stock soldier. Now, I'm using the connection blueprint editor just for my own convenience. Now, what you want to do after you open the weapon is add 3 components: a buff entity, a buff tracking component, and a scoring event. For the component settings, in the buff entity, set the material to 128 and the source to -1. In the scoring event listener, set the scoring type identifier to whatever scoring type you want it to be. For me, it's going to be whenever you get a kill on anything with anything, which is not a thing in this game, so I'm going to have to make a new one. Open online, persistence, scoring, PvZ scoring, open scoring types, scroll all the way down, add a new entry, copy entry 217, paste the new entry, remove any parameters in it, change the description SID if you want, change the bucket scores if you want, and set the measuring to whatever you want. For me, since I want it to be a kill with anything on anything, I'm just going to say it to kill. The identifier, say it to something that you're going to remember and doesn't overlap with any other identifiers. I'm going to say it to 10,000. Now back in the weapon, in the scoring event listener, set the scoring type identifier to that identifier that you just made, which for me is 10,000. Now scroll up, open common, buffs, and duplicate both Brain's Toxic Mode and Brain's Toxic Mode Charge and save it, preferably in the same folder as your weapon. Make sure both buffs are in character shared and weapon shared. And now, in the buff entity, for the buff, put in the charge buff, and for the buff tracker, put in the mode effect. Next, in the charge buff, what you want to do is untick kill on man down in the buff state controller and edit any of these settings to your preference. For me, I'm going to set the charge to 0.2 and the duration to 25. Then down here, what you want to do is replace the Brain's Toxic Mode reference with the new mode effect that you just made. And the UI stamina meter, tick controls visibility, and set the name to whatever the fuck you want. Now, in the mode effect itself, you can edit the buff effects however you want, but in the buff state controller, tick kill on man down. Now, what you want to do is get the connections set up. For the scoring event listener, add a source connection called onPlayerScored, has to be properly capitalized, and link it to buff entity apply. And for the PvZ buff tracking component, add a source event for onBuffEnded and link that to buff entity kill. Next, in the PvZ character weapon itself, increase all of the component counts by 3. Finally, what you want to do is make sure that these have the correct flags. Since these are all running on the client realm, I'm going to have to use the client flags. So for the buff entity, I would search that in this document that I'm leaving in the description. I'm going to copy these flags and then paste them into the buff entity's flags. I'm going to do the same thing for the buff tracking component. So search for that component, copy its flags, and then paste it. Same thing for the scoring event listener. Copy the flags, and then paste them. Once that's all done, you can save the mod and load the game. As you can see, we're in the game now, and now I'm going to see if this even works. As you can see, it charges when I get a kill, but also when I kill something that isn't my primary. That is one of the things that I hated about the buff applicator method. You can only charge the meter when getting kills exclusively with your primary. But this method allows you to make it to where exclusively in the weapon blueprint, you can track if you get kills with the ZPG and Sting Cloud and charge the meter with it. On top of that, this lets you track when the mode effect starts, when the mode effect ends, lets you have further control over the charge effect, lets you have further control over the mode effect itself, and this also lets you track way more stuff, allowing you to have even more control over your legendary effect, and even add more effects to your legendary effect as time progresses, which is something you cannot do with the buff applicator method. And as you can see, it charges even when I get a kill with the hero. As you can see, the mode progress stays. That's all for this video. If you have any further questions, please hesitate to ask. Don't like, please subscribe. And on top of that, sub to